Hi, and welcome back to another episode of The Breakdown with Bethany. I'm Bethany Braun Silva, and I am back with Sarah Michelle Gellar, yes, for a second time to talk about meal planning, saving money, and having to cook for the kids every darn night. Sarah Michelle is sharing some amazing tips and how she's partnered with MyFitnessPal to make all that meal planning a lot easier. And she might even drop a little bit about what we can expect for this new Buffy reboot. So check it out. Speaking of being a busy mom, an actress, an entrepreneur, and all of that, why did you feel like this partnership with MyFitnessPal was right for you at this moment?
So meal planning is something that I try my best to do, but it really can be a complicated process to commit, on your weekend to these are what I'm going to make. These are the ingredients. The making of the food is the easy part. And I think it's sort of the planning process that can stop people. But I also know that when you're busy, that's when we make our poorest eating choices, right? That's when we order, greasy food in, or we, grab something fast. And so if we can have the healthier food available, it makes it so much easier. And when they showed me the app and how user friendly it was, I was so impressed because it takes that part that's really daunting about meal planning out of the equation. When you can just look at a bunch of recipes based on whatever it is you're looking for, vegetarian, protein, Mediterranean, you can pick your recipes down to the fact that you can just, if you don't have the ingredients, you can click and have them delivered to your house. Like then all you have to do is make the food. That's the easy part.
I love that. And actually, my next question is sort of expanding upon what you just said, but we're hearing a lot, I'm a parenting journalist about this mental load of feeding a family. Like, oh my gosh, I have to cook for them again. Like what? So I'm wondering, and it sounds like you might have experienced something like that.
That's
Can you talk
that's always
about
my joke. I'm like, wait, you guys want to eat again today? Didn't you just eat? I feel like that's what I always say to them.
Can you tell us a little bit how, a mom like me with two young boys who are just feels like they're constantly hungry. Like how can I use this app to help offset some of that mental food load?
Well, first of all, just the inspiration right there. You can look at all of these recipes and say, okay, they'll like this. This is easy to make. This I can make 3 meals out of because that was something that I really liked is that so often, especially like single people don't want to eat because, or if they have like young babies, because they think I'm going to be eating the same thing every day. And it's like, how do you take that food and make something else with it? So there's also like a leftovers option. And so I think anything that makes it easier to have variety is going to make a parent's life way easier. But also, like, as the kids get busier schedules too, like you can look and say, ooh, like there's a track meet this Thursday and Charlotte has dance. And so I don't have a ton of time. I need something I can defrost. Or this morning, everybody needs to be at school really early. So I need a breakfast that we can grab and go. And so being able to look at that, I think really does take that stress load off.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's obviously helping, busy parents manage the meal planning part of it. But I'm also wondering because, we're trying to keep healthy habits, model healthy habits emotionally and physically for our kids. I'm wondering how you've sort of your relationship with health and wellness has evolved over the years. And I'm assuming too, because you've been in the limelight that maybe there's some added pressure
There's
there.
definitely added pressure, but I think there's added, pressure for everybody now because it is, but it should be on the forefront because eating healthy is not just about looking great. It's about staying healthy. It's about being around longer for your family, about being able to participate in more things because your body is active. And I was realizing this week too, so much so we think about what we eat in a day. And that's great, but our body's not a computer, right? It doesn't reset back to zero at the end of the day and we start. It's about what we put in our bodies in a week, in a month, in a year, so being able to plan and sort of look at not just today, but tomorrow and the day after and the day after that, I think is really important and not something you can really do unless you're meal planning.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering because your kids are a little bit older, so are mine. I have a 13-year-old boy and then a 9-year-old boy, and they used to be incredibly picky eaters, and now it seems like they'll eat everything. So I'm kind of trying to figure out the balance there from like having to really like kind of really curate what they're eating to now also curate what they're eating, but in a different way. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts or experience with that as well.
Yeah, I people always used to say to me, "You're so lucky your kids eat everything." And I would always remind them, it's not luck. It's because we work at it. We have a rule in our house that when they were younger, which was you have to try something 10 times and 2 times more before you decide if you don't like it. And we stuck to that because palates do develop differently. They change, right? So something they might not like one year, they may love the next year. It might just be a preparation issue. Maybe it was made one way and then they like it a different way. And I always tell the story with my daughter who was convinced she was from another family because she did not like artichokes. I love artichokes. My husband loves artichokes. My son loves artichokes. So at least once a year, if not more, she would go to a restaurant and she would try the artichoke. She would order it on a random day, and she was convinced there was something wrong with her because she didn't like artichokes. And then about a year ago, maybe she ordered them somewhere and loved them. And that's because she didn't give up on it. So we've just made really sure that you don't get to try something once and then decide that you don't like it.
I love that. I wish artichoke was sort of like the barometer for fitting in with families, right? That would be awesome. But I actually have another
And I
question.
also don't believe in making extra meals. Like, this is what's for dinner. If you really don't like it, I won't make it again, but this is what's for dinner today.
That's inspiring because I've definitely, made probably more than one meal more times than I would like to admit. But that's great that you stick to that. I think that's good inspiration for other
I mean,
families
it's
out
a
there.
brutal evening usually, but or when they were younger, but I would just say, look, I promise you I won't make it again, but this is what I made.
Yeah, absolutely. And when this interview was, pitched to me, there was a mention about, the cost of food. This is like top of mind for so many families. Grocery store trips do not look the same as they did a year ago, 2 years ago, even months ago. Prices are rising. Is there any way this app or, this meal planning can help
Yes.
offset some of that?
Well, absolutely. First of all, anytime you can make the food at home, you wind up saving money because you're not incurring other costs. You're not having an upmarket, price because you're at a restaurant or you're doing takeout or any of those things. And you really can control then ingredients. For example, and I always tell parents this, like, frozen vegetables are a wonderful way to get vegetables at a cheaper price, and they're just as healthy. You can get organic vegetables that are frozen. They're frozen at the exact right times. They're always going to taste good. And you don't have to worry. It's really canned vegetables where you have to pay more attention to the sodium content. Not to mention, one bag of frozen vegetables can make how many meals, right? As opposed to buying a fresh head of organic broccoli that then you use in one day or it goes bad. And so you can reseal. I also say if you invest in really good Tupperware, I like the ones where you can suck the air out.
Okay.
And the same with the Ziploc bags, which is great too, because they're reusable. You can really prolong the length of the food that you have, which is then you're not replacing it, then you're not buying again. And I think that is a really another great way to offset the cost of food because it has gone up so much.
Yeah. And from what I sort of know about you and your husband, you guys are big foodies, right? And so what does like a typical weeknight or a typical night, really any night, look like for your family for dinner? Do you have go-to meals that you guys rely on?
Sure. I mean, we really try to rotate because nobody wants to eat the same thing all the time. And, we try at least a couple of times a week to have family meals where everybody sits down together because we just think it's really important. And we understand that in this busy world, like that's not always going to happen every week, but we do make a concerted effort to find the days where we can and make sure that we're eating at home or we're going someplace special so that we're all there together. So I think that's really important because that's when those like conversations happen when you're all sitting around a table and not one kid's rushing to do homework or make a game or any of those things.
Yeah, I love that. And just, wrapping up a little bit, I'm 40 years old. I'm a millennial. You are kind of a millennial, like not kind of, you are a millennial icon. I know there's some buzz around Buffy. They said I could ask one question about, about
You're the
Buffy.
only person that actually listened to the one. So bless you.
Just one question. I mean, because it is so important. It really is. Like this, it is such a cultural, like, it's so monumental for people young and old. And what are you most looking forward to this upcoming reboot?
Honestly, doing something the fans have been asking for, but doing it in the right way, in a way that honors but moves it forward. I think for me, I never wanted to do it just to do it, you know, cash grab or a show that I know will last because she deserves so much more than that. And the fans deserve so much more than that. And I think for the first time, when Chloe came to me, she really had an idea, a world, and a reason. And I think that's what makes it important. And also the timing does feel right. I think we're all looking for the heroes inside of us, the heroes that make us belong. It's tough right now. And I think she's sort of that beacon of hope for a lot of people. And that's what I want to deliver on.
I love it. Thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. I'll let you go back to your busy schedule.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you enjoyed the app. It really does make it easier. I have to tell you, like, just the interface, the just taking all that stress out of it because it's the making of the food's not the hard part.
Right.
it's all the process leading up to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm most looking forward to the shopping like integration within there too, because
Right.
that's so annoying not to have that already.
It's genius.
All right. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
have a great
Thank you.
day.
All right, bye.
Bye.